Welcome to the deep dive.
Good to be here.
So today we're digging into something pretty interesting legally happening over in Indonesia.
Yeah, it's about the Constitutional Court's decision on the Boven Digoel regent election.
Right, and the core issue seems to be, well, why a winning candidate got disqualified after the election. It's a bit unusual.
It is. And what happens next, of course. We're mainly looking at the court's own press release here, so that's our source material.
Okay, solid. So the mission for us and for you listening is to really get our heads around the legal side of things and, what this means for Boven Digoel.
Let's do it.
So let's start with the candidate. Petrus Ricolumbus Amba, candidate number 3. What was the official reason given for pulling him out?
Okay, so the court disqualified him because he provided a statement, one of those I'm not a convicted criminal type statements.
Standard procedure.
Except this one was from the Merauke District Court, and the Constitutional Court deemed it invalid.
Invalid? How come?
Yeah.
What makes a court statement invalid?
Well, this is where it gets specific. Turns out, Mr. Amba actually had a prior conviction. It was from a military court, and the Supreme Court confirmed it way back in 2005.
A military conviction. Okay.
Yes, and there's a Supreme Court circular, number 3 from 2016, which is key here. It specifically says if you have a military criminal record,
right,
then you must get that not convicted statement from the relevant military court, not just any civil district court.
Okay. So different systems, different paperwork trails. Makes sense they'd want the right one.
Exactly. The idea is full disclosure, right? You can't just pick the court that doesn't show the conviction you want to hide.
So it wasn't just a procedural hiccup. The court saw more to it.
They did. They pointed to a lack of honesty. First, he apparently didn't disclose this military conviction in the official candidate registration system, Cylon, it's called.
The online system?
Yeah. And then deliberately, it seems, going to the district court instead of the military court for the statement. The court basically interpreted that as an attempt to conceal his past.
Wow. And it seems like it worked. Initially, the press release mentioned people close to him, even election officials didn't know.
That's right. It seems it wasn't public knowledge, or at least not widely known, until this whole process unfolded during the dispute phase.
So the court's argument is that this lack of honesty, this lack of transparency, fundamentally breaks the rules.
Precisely. It undermines the whole principle of fair play in elections. Other candidates are disadvantaged, and voters, well, they have a right to know who they're voting for, warts and all.
Okay, so disqualification makes sense from that perspective. What's the practical outcome? What did the court order?
They ordered a do-over, a revote. In Indonesian terms, it's a pemungutan suara ulang, or PSU.
A whole new election for the regent and deputy regent?
For regent and deputy regent, yes.
So who gets to run in this revote?
The other 3 candidate pairs who were originally on the ballot.
Okay, so pairs 1, 2, and 4 are back in.
Correct. Athansius Kaknak and H. Basri Muhammad Nadia, Jacob Boremba and Suharto, and Henkia Luo and Melchior Okaibob.
And what about the disqualified candidate spot, candidate 3?
Well, here's an interesting bit. The political parties that supported Amba, they get a chance to nominate a new candidate pair.
A new one. So they're not just out of the race.
Nope. They get another shot, just obviously not with Mr. Amba himself.
That's significant. I was wondering why they didn't just, give the win to whoever came second.
Yeah, the court considered that, apparently. But the votes were spread out across all 4 candidates. There wasn't a clear runner-up with a really strong mandate, you could say.
So a revote is seen as fairer to let the people decide again now that this info is out?
That seems to be the reasoning. A fresh vote reflects the electorate's will more accurately under the current circumstances.
Makes sense. And the logistics, are they re-registering voters?
No, the court specified using the existing voter lists from the original election back in November 2024. The DPT, DPTB, and DPK lists.
Okay. Keeps things a bit simpler, I suppose.
Relatively, yeah.
All right, so let's quickly recap. Winning candidate gets disqualified after the election because he wasn't upfront about a prior military conviction, used the wrong court for his paperwork.
Correct. Dishonesty was the key finding.
And the Constitutional Court stepped in, canceled the result, and ordered a revote.
A revote involving the other original candidates, plus potentially a new pair from the disqualified candidates coalition.
It really underscores how seriously the court takes transparency and honesty in the whole electoral process.
Absolutely. It shows they're willing to take big steps to uphold those principles.
So it leaves us, and you listening, with a final thought, maybe. When things like this happen after an election, what does it say about the checks and balances before people even get on the ballot? How can candidate vetting be strengthened to catch these things earlier and maintain public trust?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Definitely food for thought.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.